Hello, everyone. I am so thrilled to be here today with Lynn Louise Wonders, one of the co-editors on our book that just came out recently, Nature-based Play and Expressive Therapies, Interventions for Working with Children, Teens, and Families. And Lynn wrote this wonderful chapter in the book called Cultivating Mindfulness through the use of nature and play therapy, Lynn has really been one of the cutting edge leading people in this area of combining these two topics of bringing mindfulness and nature into the play therapy field. And then I'm going to let you just go ahead and take it from here, and you can introduce yourself and just share a little bit about what that means about mindfulness and play therapy.
Yeah, I'd love to. And so I just want to throw in a little bit of historical context. So I actually began a personal growth and spiritual practice over 30 years ago. I'm now 55. I think I was, 24 years old when I started. And I began studying the philosophy and practice of Buddhist and Taoist understanding of how to engage with life. And interestingly, a big piece of that also was nature. In a lot of my training, we would go out into nature as the Taoists do and harmonize with nature as well. So for me, mindfulness practice, as we know it today, and the respect and honoring of nature, the nature that we have within us, the nature that is outside of us, that process goes way back for me to my early adulthood in my own personal growth journey. And so because I had started practicing that at a very early age, when I was studying it in the context of what Jon Kabat-Zinn taught us is mindfulness practice. Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn brought these Buddhist philosophies and practices to the West and in a way that Westerners were able to embrace it and see, oh, yes, this is something I can do. And he worked with other experts in some research studies that showed the efficacy of this practice. And then later on, I think it was 2013, a research study came out in which they had done MRI studies of the brain, looking at before and after a mindfulness practice that was more structured. And it did indicate that there was a reduction in the amygdala, that there was growth in the gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, that there were other things that happened in the brain that indicated that a regular practice of mindfulness through, in that case, a meditative practice, actually improved the brain's functioning. And this was in adults. So I had always known from my own experience over the many years of the positive effects of practicing this mindfulness through meditation and through moving meditation in daily life and through washing of the dishes and doing the laundry and being present with whatever the task is at hand. I knew from my own experience in the community of people that I learned with that this is something really powerful. So before the 2013 study came out, I took the concept of mindfulness that Dr. Jon Kabat-Zinn had come forward with and popularized, and I created a training called Mindfulness and Play Therapy. And for me, it made sense because child-centered play therapy is based in originally Carl Rogers' client-centered theoretical orientation. His student was Virginia Axline. And so it made sense to me that, of course, mindfulness and child-centered play therapy in particular are intertwined. So I created this training, and it was very early when I was doing training. I think it was my second training I developed in play therapy training. And I went to Association for Play Therapy, and I applied to get approval to have this training provide credits. And I received a call from the high up levels of APT questioning me about it. And it was a very honoring and respectful conversation, but there was concern that this mindfulness might be perceived as being something kind of out there, or how is that connected to play therapy? So we had a really nice conversation. I explained what I just explained about the theoretical orientations of child-centered play therapy and how, for me, that's the foundation of all play therapy. Even if we're doing directive, we have to have that relationship and that connection and that presence. So I was able to have it approved. They asked me to add in the word techniques to the title to make it more palatable for people who might be questioning. And so I did. And I went on to teach this training. And I'm very happy to say that really, what are we, like maybe 12, 15 years later, it's now widely accepted and understood here in the West that the practice of mindfulness, the practice of being present and connected, is at the foundation of really good therapeutic work. So for me, it's been a no-brainer from a very long time. And now I'm really happy to see that other people are embracing this. So when I wanted to write a chapter for this book, I was really excited to be able to speak through my written words about how to practically bring the practice of mindfulness into the playroom using items from nature. And because I understand that not everyone has the privilege of going out and having a play area in nature or taking, clients out into nature. Sometimes we have to bring nature in to the space that we have. So I wanted to write a chapter that looked at what I called the three ingredients of nature, of mindfulness, and then of course the powers of therapeutic powers of play. And so I did so in explaining the foundation of those three ingredients. And then I have my vignette, which is quite involved. I actually had to edit it down a little bit to fit in the book. But I wanted to tell a story, which is a compilation of a little girl whose parents were divorced, busy parents, busy with work. Work is a lot on screens. The child wasn't getting enough time or connection with other children other than school. And there wasn't any time outside. They lived in a pretty urban area. And so in this vignette, I talk about ways that the therapist helps the parents to change and adapt the way that they are doing things so that they don't feel burdened by it, but that they can begin to have experiences connecting with their child in nature. And in the sessions, we use items from nature as metaphors and as sensory experiences that bring us into the present moment and invite us to practice noticing.
Beautiful.
Being with.
I love how you say that. Can you give an example of one of the items that you bring into the playroom that you might utilize for mindfulness?
Absolutely. So just on a very basic level, having water, having sand, having pine cones and sticks and stones and crystals and items that, you might collect, leaves, dried leaves, anything that you can find out in nature, and having baskets of those available just for playing with and sensory. You'd be amazed to see what children will do with that if you just set it out, if you set it out on the coffee table. And then we have things like the Tibetan singing bowl, which is made from metal from the earth and is lovingly created by the people in Tibet. And it's designed to create a bell-like sound, which we can then use to create the sound, the vibration in the air, and listen to the sound and listen to it until we can no longer hear it. It helps and facilitates an experience of just being in this moment. Let's just follow the sound and just be there. Something happens in the nervous system when you stop talking and you just listen. So that's one of the examples we use. We also have an intervention that I've talked about in my chapter of gardening on a very small level, planting a little seed and letting the child see the seed sprout and grow into a plant and nurture the plant each week, watering the plant, making sure the plant's getting enough light, taking pictures so you can see how the plant has grown over time. And that can serve as a metaphor for the personal growth that we're doing in therapy.
Beautiful. Just listening to you, I have such a sense of peace, even, through the screen here, just that co-regulation and how you're talking about it and how, you are sharing about integrating nature into a mindfulness practice in play therapy, which I think, no matter what type of model you're using can be integrated across the board. And I think that a lot of the listeners who are listening to this, you share about this, will really get a lot of benefit from your chapter. So Lynn, it has been a joy listening to you. I know that we could go on and on and on and talk more about this. But we'll go ahead and if there any last thing you want to say and to anyone before we say goodbye.
Well, I just want to thank you because you model this, in your life, in your relationships, and the way you show up and the way you showed up for us as our chief editor throughout this whole process. And I just want to thank you for being a role model, for being present, for noticing in the moment, for staying connected to that. It's a big piece of why this book has been such a beautiful creation and a beautiful experience for us as editors and authors. And for everybody that's reading it, there's this golden thread, I think, of this being present with and honoring of nature. It goes hand in hand. So I think my chapter just sort of speaks to the beauty of the entire project. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a co-editor with you.
Oh, it's been a joy. It's been a joy. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Now, Lynn, if they want to get in touch with you, is there a way that they can?
Oh,
reach
sure.
you?
Absolutely. My website is wonderscounseling.com, and I've got lots of resources there. I have a contact page. You can reach me if you would like. And of course, let me just give a shout out for our website that goes along with our book, Nature-based And we have right now, of course, we have the book on there. We have videos and articles about each of the chapters, and we're going to have all of the videos up there soon, and then there'll be trainings and maybe other resources we can share. So we have this shared love for the combination of nature and play, and I think mindfulness just goes right in there with it naturally.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks,
thank
Janet.
you for listening, everyone. Bye-bye.